Hello, you're watching Transbrations. I'm your host, Nahshondion. Today's special guest is Harmonica Sunbeam, the comedy queen. She's been delighting audiences at nightclubs, cabarets, and fundraising events throughout the United States and abroad for over 27 years. Ms. Sunbeam showcases her unique ability to uplift, encourage, and engage children through the Drag Story Hour program, where drag queens go into libraries, bookstores, festivals, and other events to read books to kids of all ages. Since the inception of Drag Story Hour in the New York area, Ms. Sunbeam has been featured in the New York Times and interviewed for a now viral video on Buzzfeed. She's a member of the Screen Actors Guild and has been featured on several television shows and films, including The Deuce, Honey, and Please Give. Ms. Sunbeam has also worked alongside noted musical artists such as Beyonce, Mary J. Blige, and Jennifer Holiday. She was featured on the season finale of Saturday Night Live as a backup dancer for artist Katy Perry, performing her hit single, Swish Swish. Despite her busy schedule, Ms. Sunbeam still finds time to assist and work with many community-based LGBTQI organizations, such as Bayard Rustin Center for Social Justice, NJCRI, Jersey City Pride, Hyacinth AIDS Foundation, and AAOGC. Her commitment to being a positive role model in today's selfish world clearly speaks for itself. Hello, Harmonica. How are you doing today?
Hello, Nahshon. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much.
Now, work it now.
When and how did you discover drag?
Well, I discovered the world of drag through the world of ballroom. When I first came out, 86, 87, around that time, and I was just discovering my sexuality and finding myself. Somebody took me to the Village, Christopher Street Piers, where I met people from ballroom, and eventually I joined a house, and I first ventured into drag by walking the category Butch Queen, first time in drag at a ball, which is a gay guy like myself, competing in drag for the first time at a ball. I didn't know what I was going to look like. My house members put me all together from head to toe. All I had to do was go out there and sell it, and I did, and I won. And to this day, there are still some jealous bitches.
It's going to get severe up in
here. And we're going to get into all of that shade and the jealous bitches later. So yeah, they didn't realize that they were creating a legend.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. And what LGBT people contributed to your life?
Well, I would say, initially, people that I met through ballroom. And then once I actually started performing in bars and clubs, then I met performers and entertainers who helped shape me into who I am today as well.
Was there a certain queen that inspired you the most?
Nope. Funny, I say this because I feel like usually there is somebody that kind of like takes you under their wing and you become their child and this and that. I grew up without having a drag mother, you know what I'm saying? So, I got little bits and pieces from lots of different people that I was around, but not one in particular person that I could say, hey, this was the person this is my role model or anything else like that. And sometimes I wish
no bitches getting no credit.
Right. Sometimes I wish I did have a drag mother because I think having someone there helps you to be more well-rounded, someone who can teach you things, sewing, makeup, performance aspects of it all, stuff like that. So there was a lot that I had to learn on my own, and we didn't have YouTube then, so you really were on your own.
When would you say you fell in love with it, or you became you was just like this is this is for me, this is definitely me?
Well, after I won the ballroom category that time, I did a couple of more categories, and I wasn't quite old enough to get into bars and clubs. So it wasn't until I actually seen a drag show in person where people performed that I felt like, oh, wow, I can give this a shot, And anytime you do something for the first time, you have all your friends support, and everyone's there to see you and this and that. And so it went amazingly well. And then as I would do it from time to time, the circle of friends got smaller and smaller, and I started to develop fans. And it wasn't until one day the hostess of the show didn't come, and they needed a hostess, and they were asking everyone, and everyone pretty much was too shy. I didn't want to be bothered. And at that point, when I was performing, only the hostess got paid. The rest of the performers just worked on tips. And the hostess got a grand total of $25 for all of her work at that time. And so I said, you know, I'll give it a shot. And I think that's where I really, really found like my calling and found like a place for me, because I took to the microphone, the audience took to me, and it was just pure joy.
And what club would that have been at, Harmonica?
That would be at First Choice in Newark, New Jersey, on Ferry Street. It is now like a Ecuadorian bakery.
Okay.
It's in a Spanish section in town, but it was out of the way in Newark, and it was our place. It was our safe haven. And from there, I met performers from New York. And my first place I ever performed in New York was Two Potato on Christopher Street in the Village.
Have a favorite song and music?
No, but I did notice, particularly after her death, that I did a lot of Whitney Houston stuff, you know, so I don't necessarily have a particular song, but I do have some artists that I favor more so than others, I guess because they were a part of my time and a part of my era.
So how did you discover house music?
Ooh. Well, as I started performing more and more, I got invited to perform at big house parties, you know, at the Sound Factory, at the Octagon, at the Warehouse, and be a part of that whole environment. And so, and house music is what I grew up on, you know. And so at these particular parties, they would have, you know, mainly house music. And at this point, hip hop started to have a bigger impact. And so some places were lucky enough to have like a hip hop room and a house room. But back in those days, the house room was the bigger room. These days, not so much. It's kind of flipped around, and you got, you know, a bigger hip hop room than a house room. But it's okay because us house heads don't have, we don't need that much space to do what we got to do.
No, not at all. And so, and who were some of the house DJs that you liked? Would this have been in the late 70s, 80s?
90s.
I'm sorry. The 90s?
90s, yes.
Okay.
Ken Terry was a big favorite and still is a big favorite of mine. DJ Cedric from DC is a big favorite of mine. Fred Pierce, Frankie Paradise, you know, so all these different people that, you know, I grew up with, and we were all, you know, working at these parties and these events together and just, you know, changing lives one beat at a time.
One beat at a time. If you weren't an entertainer and an entrepreneur, what would you be doing?
Well, I am a New Jersey licensed massage therapist. And so, and this is my year to recertify. And I'm kind of like on the fence. I'm like, do I want to recertify? Because I kind of slowed down after the pandemic, you know, because I was a massage therapist for the New Jersey Giants. So, which was a wonderful experience.
Oh, wow.
Right. But it also, for me, was, and this is probably the first time I've ever seen this, like, you know, on public and stuff, but for me, it was...
Girl, you know, this is going to go viral.
I felt like I couldn't be myself. You understand what I'm saying? Not that I wanted to be a big flaming gay guy, but I felt like I was at the discretion of the players because we're all independent contracts, right? So if somebody felt uncomfortable around me as a gay guy, then they can easily tell the other guys, and then, you know what I mean? That's the end of me. I'm no longer on the schedule. So I kind of felt like how a lot of gay guys felt when they go to a barbershop, in the sense that you kind of put on this face. And I couldn't really get close or comfortable to my coworkers, because even if me and you, we work together, and I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you about this kind of work that I do when I'm not massaging, because you may think nothing of it and casually talk to a player about it, and the player may have this, you know what I mean, these preconceived notions and what have you, and then that word gets out, and it's just like the next thing you know, I'm, you know, canceled, so to speak. You know, and even though I did enjoy it, I enjoyed the experience of it all. When 2020 came and we had to jump through a lot of hoops in order to work. Like, you have to go to one place to get tested and then wait for your results and then go to the next place to work and stuff. So I kind of stood out that year. And then the following year, I just didn't really respond, you know, because I was fine with it. I had done it for 3 seasons and it was great. And it was a great job, right?
Now, what is a season? How long? A season is a year, right?
No, not necessarily. So like August to like about January.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So and it was fine. It was a great job for somebody straight out of massage school. And it was and the thing I like about the massage part of it and the show business part of it, because massage is one-on-one, it's tranquil, it's it's meditative and all that stuff. Whereas then when I'm working in front of large crowds, the music is louder, the energy is up. So it gives me a nice balance.
Harmonica, I've been getting massages for over 20 something years myself. I was disappointed during the pandemic because Massage Envy was closed in New York. You worked, and then
I worked before I worked for the Giants, I worked for them.
Okay, and then I ended up going to a Massage Envy in Jersey, like maybe a year after the pandemic or a few months. But see, I have someone who comes to my house now. And he used to work at Massage Envy, but he doesn't work there anymore. But I used to do massages off of Backpage, Craigslist, Harrell's. I have a table sitting over here in the corner. I loved it because it's one-on-one, it's tranquil. Not only would I get them, but I would give them too. And I was able to do so much and go around. It's good business. And it's actually perfect for someone who's freelance entertainment.
Right, yeah, right. Because you decide when you want to pick up the phone.
Exactly.
And also I think it's we all crave for touch, right? We all want to be touched. We all want, and a lot of people who think that they don't have time for a massage. It's like, well, you have time for this, you make time for yourself. And you just don't realize an hour, 90 minutes on a table, de-stressing and just, letting it all go, really is a great form of self-care, especially in these days and times.
Oh no, it really is. I mean, it's helped keep me sane over to the past 2 decades. And a lot of my customers, married men, straight heterosexual identifying men, and I'd be all, done up like this. And so for me, it was performance time for me.
Right.
I don't know how I would necessarily be able to cope around a lot of, male athletes with nice bodies and stuff. So I probably wouldn't. Yeah.
Well, listen, I tell you, when I worked at Massage Envy, like you got all different body types,
right?
And so it's just like when I was in massage school. And so then to come to all these athletic muscle types and stuff like that, it was pretty interesting, like, oh, okay, let's continue.
Wasn't it a treat?
Wasn't
it a treat?
It really was. You know what I mean? Because now you say, oh, that's what that muscle's supposed to feel like. Oh, that's what that muscle looks like on a human. Okay, come on now.
Right, exactly. And I'm sure because you're a sweet person, a sweet lady. They definitely would you put them to sleep?
Well, and see, I wasn't a lady when I was doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like I did what I do, you know what I'm saying? But I also had to be, like I said, I had to be very butch about it and very professional, because we were all in the same room. So it's just like a big room with about 15 tables and workers in it.
Oh, it's not one-on-one.
It is, but all in the same room because of, things of that nature, sexual harassment and things of that nature.
Oh, wow.
Or these were what we call recovery massages. So these were after practice massages.
Oh, this is a whole nother show, honey. We can get into a whole nother show. We can have a whole nother session about massage.
That's right.
So we'll have to talk about that later sometime over a meal or something. What's a typical day like for you before performance? Like today, you're all dressed up, but you're not just dressed up for my show, correct?
Right. Well, it's Pride Month, and so there's so much going on. And last night, I had a late event, and I haven't had a late event in quite some time. And with me having a late event, it really threw me off jumping up today, getting myself together. So once I finish with you, I have a community event in Maplewood, New Jersey. But for me, it is, especially at a time like this, I try to streamline things and get things ready ahead of time. Tuesday, when I came home from Memorial Weekend, I pulled out everything with rainbows in it. That way I can have all the stuff at my disposal, and then I can say, okay, this is what I'm wearing this day, this is what I'm wearing this day, this takes care of this week. And then I can just pull the accessories and hair and other stuff out like that. But I made sure before June got here that I stocked up on things that I need to replenish all the time, like foundation and powder and lipstick and pantyhose and crazy glue, things of that nature. So June is not a typical work month. like, you know, fast-paced work month for me. So I need to be prepared in advance. But normally, if I have, you know, just a gig, I may, you know, hey, I'll go get my coffee. Maybe I'll run an errand and pick up my mail or see if something that I ordered came in or something like that. And then just basically, you know, as it gets closer to the time where I have to start getting ready to do my makeup and stuff, just kind of like cool down and prepare for the event at hand.
What's up with queens and sequins?
What do you mean, queens? Do you mean as far as wearing them?
Yeah, because I think queens wear sequins more than women do. Female performers. Would you agree?
You know, it's funny because when I started performing, of course, most people would start performing like we're on a budget. I'm still on a budget, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would buy a lot of stuff from the stores. Like I would go into Rainbow and all the cheaper girl stores, and I would buy my little outfits, and I was turning it out and things of that nature. And, you know, and to an extent, I guess I was. And I didn't really realize the value of setting yourself apart from the audience. You know what I'm saying? The thing about buying something in the store is that I can wear it and you may come to the show with the same thing on because we both thought it was cute and special and it was on sale,
right,
you know?
Right.
So as entertainers, they need to look into the crowd and on the stage and say, she belongs on stage. That's right. That was the girl of the hour, you know? And so I started getting things made, but I never really jumped into getting shiny things until like later on when I realized I start seeing people like the lights, you know, places with really good lights and stuff. And you say, oh no, I've got to bring some of that bling to the stage as well. And so I jumped on the bandwagon, and you know, if I do a show where I get a chance to change, something definitely is going to sparkle and shimmer.
Because once that light hits it, once the lights go down and that spotlight hits it, it's like music video.
And people will forget. They like, no, she wasn't the prettiest, or she wasn't the most talented, but did you see that dress sparkle?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is true. My favorite part of being an entertainer is being my own boss and expressing my artistry in a way that brings me joy.
Yes. It really, really is, you know, just like, you know, like I said, June is a very busy month for me. And, you know, and now, you know, I get to pick and choose. Like, hey, do I want to take on something else? Hey, do I want to be bothered with this particular person who pissed me off last year? You know, and being able to have those decisions and not take everything that comes to you, because we all know all money ain't good money, and some things you just don't want to be bothered with, you know, and everyone in their line of work doesn't have that ability to pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? If I was a bus driver for New Jersey Transit, right, I couldn't say, oh, I hate going to Broad and Market Street, so I'm going to skip that one. No, honey, it's part of your job, and you're going to go to Broad and Market, and then you're going to go to the next stop, and the next stop until you finish your route, you know, so, or route. so that's, you know, I have the freedom of saying, hey, I want 2 weeks off. Let me work in advance, and so I can, you know, so I can afford myself to have the 2 weeks off.
You do your own makeup, correct?
I do. Except if it's something really, really special and I want to have a different look, I do my own makeup. I can say that from the beginning that when I started performing, I was a little spoiled and I always had people doing my makeup. And then one day they didn't show up. And instead of me taking it all in all those times that I was getting my makeup done, so it was like, okay, sink or swim. You know, and the best thing about makeup is the more you practice, the better you'll get.
That is true.
You know, trends change and everything else changes like that. And you just explore and you create. Now I host some makeup tutorials and for teens, you know, teens of any sex, you know, can come at the library and we talk makeup and play in makeup. It's just a whole creative outlet. Because makeup is for everyone, right? And makeup is a creative expression, you know, and there's not necessarily too many wrongs in makeup, you know, because you are presenting what you would like to see, what everyone to see.
Long as it matches your complexion to some degree. I was just in a mall the other day and I saw this lady. You know, when I saw her face, I was just like, what? And she got closer and I was just like, is she not aware that is just like 10 times like lighter than what she should have on, you know?
Right,
like, yeah. You know, you can't, that's not your business to tell them, you know?
Right, yeah.
How long did it take for you to become confident with doing your makeup?
I still have good days and bad days where I'm second guessing or just don't feel as glamorous. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's just like a day like you may wake up and say, oh gosh, I'm feeling extra bloated today or extra juicy. It's like, let me put on something where I'm not as, as body conscious, just so I can get over it. But like, and then the thing about the makeup is that I may feel like, that's all right. Then I get to the place and the first thing someone says, oh my God, your makeup looks gorgeous. Right. And so, hey, that lifts me up. It's like, okay, great, Because
the audience,
sometimes it's us, you know what I'm saying?
Right, and they don't necessarily know that it shouldn't look that way or should look this way because the reality of it is, it's your creation.
Right.
Sheila Noxzema, what's up with her?
Well, my niece, Sheila Noxzema, the supermodel from Secaucus, has not been seen since 2020. She was invited to do a video. We were doing a virtual pride and sending in video selections for performances. And so they asked for Sheila, and Sheila got it together and had her crew film and submit a video. And that was the last she's been seen. She doesn't come to the States as often as she used to. She spends a lot of time in Turkey. And she's just living her life.
Just out there. Okay. So during 9/11, where were you?
Well, I'll tell you this. The night before 9/11, I lived in this apartment. The night before 9/11, I worked at Crash in Queens. And Crash, I think it's Astoria, Queens. No, don't call me on the part of Queens. But anyway, Crash in Queens. And I worked the night before, so I woke up late. And my neighbor upstairs said, hey, there's a fire at the World Trade Center. And from my window, this window right here that I'm pointing to, has a view of New York City. And I went to the window and I could see the planes, I can see the smoke from the World Trade Center. And I took a picture that I still have to this day of what it looked like, And so I was home just like, whoa.
Harmonica, you are the first person to tell me, you're the first New Yorker, you're the first person on the East Coast, period, who told me that they, could see it and took a picture.
Yeah, because I'm right here from Jersey City. I have a whole view of New York, and right from this window, I could see the World Trade Center.
Did you lose any friends or family?
Not that, I don't, family, no, but as for friends and things like that, not that I know of, to this day, not that I know of. No. But yeah, it was just a really, really sad experience, though, and it really changed our lives.
It did.
In so many ways, so many ways.
I'm from California, and my mother, we visited there in 1994, and I have pictures of us up in the towers. And then I visited New York again, like in 1999, but I don't think I took pictures that time. So just, being in there and knowing how big the buildings were and just, all of that is just, that was a lot. Did you perform that weekend, or were you performing that week?
No, that was the night before I did perform. And then I had a trip.
Oh, because that was a Sunday night, that was Monday morning, right? Or Tuesday?
I think it was a Tuesday because it was I think, yeah. And I had a trip like maybe 10 days later, and my family was begging me not to go, don't fly, it's not safe, and this and that. And I still went. I forgot where I was going, but I still went, of course, I was a little nervous and stuff, but I had to tell my family the same way, tell anybody else, listen, yes, the planes did hit the building. Yes, people in the plane did die, but there were also people who died who were not in a plane. So we can't be afraid of everything. And, it's just like, we have to continue to live our lives. Same thing like what happened with COVID. It's just like, yes, there's COVID out there. Yes, we have to protect ourselves, but I'm not going to live in fear,
paralyzed,
because of something that's going on.
Yeah, that's the way. That's the attitude. So the first time you came onto my radar was when did you start performing at Esquilita?
I'm gonna say about maybe like 2000.
2000, okay, so it came onto my radar might have been 2002 because I moved to New York in 2000 and I visited in 2001 right after 9/11 because I had a friend and visited him. Was Esquilita happening around Halloween?
Yeah, it was Esquilita was it was already in existence, and it was in existence way before I got there, and they had a change of owners, and then they changed entrances, so it kind of like had a whole new rebirth.
Were you hosting there back then?
No.
Okay. When did you start hosting?
Not until 2000.
Not until 2000. Okay, so you came onto my radar, and that was the first time you had started working at a predominantly Latin club and they had embraced you.
Right. Because I was working at Two Potato and I was doing other shows, other places. And I had spoken to the owner. I met him at another bar, a hustler bar.
And who was this owner?
That was a Savion's bar. And I met him. They said, and I met him and I said, hey, I would like to talk to you about possibly doing a show at the place. You know, and that's initially how we had our initial conversation. Wind up, he wasn't too keen on me having, because he said not too many people knew me, but he was getting that information from somebody else who kind of was like trying to block the blessings. One
of those jealous bitches.
And so what he did do, which was nice enough, he this was around when Kevin Aviance was doing Cunty, and she was touring a lot, and so she had a show at Esquilita called Pina Colada Sundays, which was a late night show at 2 a.m. And so I covered for her a few times while she was out of town, and it went over so well that's how the Tea Dance got created. They gave me my own show before, hours before hers. So, some people made it seem as if I took the night from her, but that's not the case at all. We both worked. She worked when her show ended. It wasn't because of my show. It was because she was too busy to do anything, and the show just ended. It was two separate shows.
Okay, I'm happy that you brought that up because I'm interviewing him. I'm interviewing him on his birthday on June 22nd.
Awesome.
So I'll be able to talk about that too.
Yeah.
And I just want to say this because I forgot. We all have them, and some people have more than others, and sometimes you just can't get rid of them unless you take some extreme measures or you get the law involved. So we want to acknowledge them. Hello, haters. Will you say hello to your haters, Harmonica?
Hey.
Yes. And so you came onto my radar around that time, somewhere around that time, and I remember you in the club and your music.
This is the beat to scream and shout.
Yeah. I first of all, I love drag queens, and I fell in love with your show. My friend, I think, because I don't think I went on my own. I think my friend is the one that took me there. Went dozens of times, and then I moved to New York, and I'm sure I went on several other occasions and always had a blast.
Okay.
So, yeah, been on my radar for over 20-something years.
Oh.
In my first photo shoot for Esquilita, I channeled Cruella de Vil. So it's only fitting that I present this vintage postcard to go along with the success of the movie. Oh,
okay. So when you asked me about that, I didn't see the movie Cruella de Vil, but because of the black and white, and that was our first photo shoot at Esquilita, I channeled Cruella de Vil in the picture, but then at that I reposted that when the movie came out.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, is there a movie about Esquilita that I didn't know about? And then I asked you that too, because I know that there was a documentary done, and I know that there was I can't remember her name. She was a Puerto Rican trans woman, and she was an entertainer, and she died in 2017. What was her name? I don't want to say Angel.
No, what Angel? Angel's still around.
But you know what I'm talking about? And she always had her hair in a ponytail. And she's much lighter than me.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay. But I know she was in this documentary, so I wasn't sure if that's the movie that you were talking about.
Because the year is a little like, I wonder who that could be, but yeah. But there was a walking tour of, I did maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We did a walking tour of Times Square, and in that walking tour, we went to Esquilita.
And that was
I told my story of me working at Esquilita and blah, blah, blah. It was really good. It was nice.
And that was for visual, that was for visual aids, right?
Yes.
It was you and another, it was you and a trans woman.
Yes, that was from the newer generation, and that is Precious, MC Precious, yes.
Precious. A very big highlight in my career was working with Beyonce at Roxy nightclub in NYC in December of 2004. It was a dream come true. And following month, she called me to wish me happy birthday. I didn't realize it was her, so I ignored the call. But she left a message which I saved and put on CD, so I can play it every year if it was as if it was brand new. What was that like?
Well, okay, so when I worked and when I was working at Two Potato, her stylist Ty Hunter would come and they would watch the shows, and I would also sell videotapes, VHS tapes of my shows, and he would buy the tapes and they would watch them on the tour bus. So the Roxy was putting together, they would occasionally have these surprise celebrity performances. They had invited her and it was top secret, blah, blah, blah. And so she thought it would be great if I was a part of the show. And so I went to the rehearsal and we did the song Baby Boy. This is when, this is like after Destiny's Child in a sense. Baby boy, you've been on my mind. And so, so I played her. So I went to the rehearsal, and so what happened was we had my back to the audience. It was crazy packed in there, and at this point, it was supposed to be a secret, but they leak it at the same time to see who it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's expecting Beyonce, and so we do bump, bump, and then I turn around, and the audience is like, and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Beyonce!" And then she comes out, and the song starts again, and then yeah. And the unfortunate thing was they wouldn't allow us to videotape it. I was allowed to videotape some behind the scenes, which I need to hurry up and put on YouTube because I have so many memories I need to hurry up and put out here, you know? And so I do have some behind the scenes footage of that wonderful day.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's awesome. That is awesome. In January of 2009, your daughter, Joseph Umoja, she passed, and you hosted a tribute to Esquilita, and the video footage was uploaded to YouTube.
Yes, so my birthday is January 8th, so it was my birthday party show that happened around the same time, yes.
And I'm gonna read a comment that someone posted from YouTube.
Okay.
It's so sad in this day and age that the families of their gay and trans family members are still keeping up this wall of shame that keeps us still so segregated. This is what our fight is all about. General acceptance despite what they may or may not feel about their loved one's lifestyle and the community. We will never forget, nor will we let these families forget. Love is love in every language, culture, and religion. It's just a damn shame that some don't see it sooner. So do you think our community, do you think communities of color, I guess Latin and African American, do you think they've made progress regarding their LGBT family members when they pass away, how they deal with their?
You know, it's in general, I'm going to say very little progress. It is a case by case scenario. You know, a lot of times it's unfortunate when people don't have a relationship with their family, and then they meet their untimely death, and then the family just swoops in and changes everything around only because they have that power. You know what I'm saying? Right. And they have that right, and that's the sad thing. So my main thing is, you know, like to put your wishes down, get your wishes out there, so that how you want your funeral or your burial or whatever to be, there's someone there to advocate for that to happen that way.
You can always plan your own final arrangement.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
DJ Relentless was one of the DJs that you worked with at Esquilita.
Yes.
How did you guys meet?
We met, he used to DJ at Sally's, which was a trans bar in Midtown Manhattan on 43rd Street. And he was a DJ there. We met, and he also DJ'd at some point at Two Potato in the Village. And so we met many years ago. He's from Florida. He moved to New York City, and we met and we clicked. And when I had the opportunity to start the Sunday Tea Dance, I asked him to be my DJ.
And so for some people who are tuning in that don't know, What is a bitch track?
A bitch track is basically someone talking over music in a sense, not necessarily singing, but more talking, and not necessarily rapping either, but it could be a rhyming situation, but more of a just talking, a talking track. And usually, and they call it, I guess they call it a bitch track because usually we were talking shit.
Right, right. It's a queen talking shit. And so what was track 13?
Track 13 was, track 13 was the song I closed the show with, which happened to be track 13 on the CD from the Masters at Work CD. So now we're in the CD era because I started out when we started bringing albums and cassettes to clubs. So we moved into the CD era. So instead of saying what I needed the song, I would always say, oh, give me track 13. And so the audience knew when I said track 13, what it was. So then they began to request at all different times for track 13. And the funny part about it is when once the internet became a big part of our lives, track 13 is also my email address.
Okay. Track 13.
Yes.
Track 13. And what was Wonder Woman in the Ha?
So that was our own updated version of track 13, where a DJ mixed the two songs together. Yes. So it was like a track 13 2.0.
Track 13.2.0. Okay. And so I'm going to read another quote. With the recent news of Esquilita closing, it ends an era for New York City. Esquilita was the last urban gay club in Manhattan, the only club that completely catered to Latino and Black crowd. Many drag careers started on that stage, and many celebrities stopped by to catch a drag show or to dance the night away. I held a residency there for 13 years as a DJ for the East Coast showstopper Harmonica Sunbeam. Sunbeam Sundays were not only a tea dance, but more like a congregation. We made history and helped to change NYC nightlife. It was difficult trying to squeeze 13 years of music into a 2-hour mix, but I did my best with memories I collected over the years. If you were there, this mix should bring back some good times. And this is a mix that's online.
From DJ Relentless, yes.
From DJ Relentless, and it's at Last FM. And I had just recently discovered it. So, I've been listening to it like every day for like all day. Yeah. And he went on to say that he had no idea that he would be documenting a piece of New York history. A lot of these records and recordings were never released on major labels. Most were on independent labels or bootlegs, and a few created by me. So around February of 2017, I was hanging out with a friend in New York, and at his home, I used to socialize with this older delusional queen that thought they were legendary because they used to be on Broadway some 50 years ago, and they had starred in Jesus Christ Superstar, the movie. And I'm not being shady, am I?
It just got hot in here.
Oh, okay. So that's when I got the news. I had got the news that Big Ben had, they had found his body and that he was dead. And the rumors had started swirling, it was his masseuse, he didn't pay his bills, he owed boys money. And I didn't know him, but obviously, I realized that he was the owner of Esquilita. And it was in all of the press, and there were some very tacky and disrespectful headlines in the news, and I'm not going to repeat them because it was just really unnecessary. How did you take the news of his death? How did you handle
that the news that he happened to have passed away right around by my birthday as well too, and I believe maybe 2 days before or a day before he passed away. Normally, I would in early January I would host a party at Esquilita. This is for my job, because I used to work at Radio City Music Hall for 19 years. And so we would have an end of the season party after the Christmas show was over. And so I did an outside party for them for a number of years. And so I thought he was calling me to discuss, like, hey, are we going to do a party this year or not? And I didn't answer for whatever reason, and he didn't leave a message either. And then 2 days later, he was found dead.
I know a few years before that, he had been fighting with, I guess, the city because they were trying to close Esquilita down, and he successfully was able to halt that
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot, going on, like, with that area, because there were also, when Escalade first opened, there was the next to the club was just an empty parking lot where people would park. Then over the years, construction and opportunities came, and now there are about 3 hotels on that same block, one right next door to Escalita. And of course, anytime you have new neighbors with some power and influence, and then they see, people of color hanging out, enjoying themselves, all of a sudden everyone feels like their life is threatened, and this and that and this and that. And so, any incident or any issue of, noise or violence or anything else, it's just another strike against,
and then it gets exaggerated and embellished.
Right. And all of a sudden, the people who have been there for years have got to go.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's the exit stage left. And so what we didn't get to discuss was pumping. What exactly, what's your description of pumping? And not pumping your ass or silicone pumping.
My description of pumping, I would say, like it's a Harmonica Sunbeam, it's about to pump. So it's just walking with a lot of attitude to music of your choice. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and because for me, it wasn't exactly runway, because it was a time for me to make my money. So I was pumping to make my change. You know what I'm saying? So I would make my revolutions around the bar or around the club and play music and just make my money. And it was a way of people saying thanks for a great show.
Pumping was taken from your description of the young gays walking up and down Christopher Street because they weren't old enough to get into the local bars.
Right. So just a lot of walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And maybe they had music, and maybe they only had music in their heads, but they were walking with a lot of attitude,
Serving it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. What was the final outcome of, how do you say it? Savion?
Savion, yes.
What was the outcome of Savion's?
Well, they did catch the guy, and he's doing jail time, or did some jail time. Yes. And that was pretty much all that I got out of it in the end,
I know someone had did a GoFundMe. They were trying to raise some money, and I think they probably only raised like $200 or $300 on the GoFundMe. It said they wanted to create some kind of posters or something in his name or something like that. And
that I didn't know anything about. He was a Jewish guy, and he had lots of money. So money was not an issue at all, unless somebody else was trying to do something that they felt that they wanted to do. And that's the thing, like in this day and age, people will take an opportunity, try to capitalize on somebody else's unfortunate situation, and we don't know their true intentions. No. I feel like, like when something happens to someone, if you're not directly involved with that person, if they never saw us together, never heard me mention your name, then you may love me too, but it's not your place to start something.
Not even because of COVID, but there's a lot of gun violence, a lot of things going on in the world, and people passing away, a lot of drug abuse. And I see stuff that happens to some of the trans girls. People will write stories, and they'll say their names. And I always say to myself, would they have said their names? Well, why didn't you say their name while they were alive? Or did you know them? Did you have a relationship with them? And if you don't have a relationship, and if you don't know them, it's really not your business to go on this, to go campaigning using their name and their photos to draw because the reality of it is they pass it off as if, this is a tragedy and but the reality of it is you're using their name and their image, and you're making money, or you're promoting your business. And for us who work in media and the business.
Yep, for, and just trying to, get attention on a situation that has nothing necessarily to do. Now, yes, you may have been impacted by it, it's just like, just like the people who race to post a picture up with somebody the minute they pass away.
Yeah.
But, it's just like, okay, well, that's
tired. It's tired. Sometimes I'm just like, these bitches just don't, and they never seem to stop.
Right, and they want to be the first one to break news.
Yes.
Or on social media before family has had a chance to say anything, or family has a chance to be notified, and anything else just like this. And it's just like, and you can't, so you putting it on Facebook, on social media, you can't answer any questions that anyone might have. So why would you post it? Yeah. And then say, oh, I don't know anything, but you just wanted to be the first one.
It's just, it is. It's very insincere.
I remember telling someone to take something down, and they were very adamant about, well, it's already out there. Yeah, but if someone's asking you to take something down about somebody that just passed because it's not officially out there with the family and everything else like that, then just abide by it. But you're not getting anything out of being the first one to report it. I get no joy out of reporting something first, so especially something like that.
I don't see, there's a race for bad. It seems like there's a race for people to publish bad news versus good news.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they don't like to tell you the good stuff. Drag Bingo, a local event that has drawn a lot of attention with the community in recent years, is Drag Story Hour. Drag Story Hour, spearheaded by Harmonica Sunbeam, a local drag queen and entertainer. The event is designed to help spark a love of reading in younger generations while also promoting diversity, self-love, and other important values. Can you tell us more about Drag Story Hour?
Okay, Drag Story Hour started in San Francisco in 2015 or 16 with a woman by the name of Michelle T. Then another woman by the name of Rachel Amy. She saw the program and she brought it to Brooklyn. Right? When she brought it to Brooklyn, it was a big hit. Rachel only knew 2 drag queens. So what they did was they put an open call on Facebook because they needed more queens because lots more readings were coming up. And so that's when I saw it, and I went to the training, the background check and all of that. And I started basically in late 2016. And I believe I did my first reading in 2017.
What was the training like? Was it really extensive?
Training like how, dealing with kids, talking to reading stories to kids, safety measures as far as like being in a room with kids and things that we shouldn't do and shouldn't do. Like, you really shouldn't take pictures of people's kids and put them on social media. Things like just safeguard and stuff like that. You really shouldn't be in a room with a child alone. Just things of that nature to protect us and to protect the people that come, because the program was already under a lot of scrutiny from people who did not want the program to happen. So just to make sure that everything was on the up and up and that we were just there doing what we said that we were there to do, our purpose for being there, these trainings really, really did help, and they were instrumental just as a safeguard purpose.
And how many hours do you do this out of the week, or is it weekly, monthly? What's the
story hours? It just really depends. As often as they come up. Pride is a very big month for Drag Story Hour, so there are lots of opportunities, and sometimes I've done 3 and 4 in a day. Sometimes I've gone to a school and done 4 in a school, like 4 different. I go to kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and spend my whole day at a school reading and talking to kids.
No, junior high or just elementary?
Both, because we also do GSA groups as well too.
What's GSA?
Like Gay Straight Alliance.
Oh, Gay Straight Alliance. Okay.
Different. They call them differently now but different groups and along that way that meet with like diversity group and this and that. Right. So where there are kids who have they have a after school meeting, and I meet with them after school and we talk and stuff. And people. And when I was growing up, I didn't have anybody to talk to. I thought it was just me. And it wasn't until someone older introduced me to someone my age that I finally had someone to talk to, And now these kids have wonderful outlets where they can talk to people their age, because, as a younger person talking to someone older that person may not have your best interest at heart. You know what I mean? They may be trying to take advantage of you, So it's better when you have people of your age, and who you can really relate to, but we didn't have those kind of groups when I was growing up. We didn't have those kind of outlets.
Is it for seniors too, or just?
Yes, we do some events at senior centers as well too. Yeah.
No, not senior citizens, for high schoolers.
Yes, yes.
Oh, for high school. And do
middle school, high school, and grade school. Yes.
Do some of the kids ask you questions that like do they ask you questions that you're, like sometimes you might feel like are inappropriate, or because they're children and they're curious, like how do they understand? Do they understand the whole?
Well, things have really changed. Some of the kids, do have questions. I mean, there was a kid in the first grade asked me, was I gay? And I just looked at, and so the principal was there, and the principal says, well, that's not something that you necessarily ask everyone, it's like, and that's a personal question, but if Miss Harmonica would like to answer the question, she can do so. The principal intervened, but I thought it was interesting that, like, here I am reading to you stories and we're talking, but like, you're worried about, like if I'm gay as a first grader, you know what I'm saying? So it threw me off just a little bit, and I wasn't sure, but I also had to tell them, like the principal said, that's not something you go around asking everyone, because it's none of your business. It doesn't really pertain to you. You're just like, you wouldn't tap on the person in front of you at the supermarket and say, are you gay? It's just like, I'm just a visitor here at the school.
Well, I have to admit this, that when I was younger, when I started cruising around Pasadena, I would cruise the mall and, whatever, but I would see men and I didn't necessarily know if they were gay. And if I kind of thought they were, or if I was interested, mind you, I was only 15 or 16, right. 14, I'm going up to, these were sometimes, they were older than me, but I would ask them, I didn't know, it's not that I didn't know any better. I guess my whole thing was, how was I going to, I would ask them, are you gay? And some of them would look at me and start laughing. And, some of them be like, no, or like, what are you talking about? But I'm young. And so I didn't know, right. I didn't know how to go about.
Right. But that's also how you find yourself into a world of trouble, because, like someone can say yes. And then the next thing you know, you're following them into this van and kidnapped and sex slave and, everything else. I mean, we put ourselves into a lot. I mean, I put myself into certain precarious situations where I know I shouldn't have been, but that's because we didn't have these outlets and everything had to be such a secret that we did so many things in secret that it really could have been a very negative situation for a lot of us.
And that is what ended up happening some years later for me. Drag Story Hour is now an international phenomenon with chapters all across the United States.
And across the world. We have chapters in Japan and Sweden and Berlin and Tokyo. Yeah.
Do you only work in New York, or do you travel?
I did New York and New Jersey. Yeah, because now these places have their own chapters, so they are responsible and stuff. So it's like, I mean, I would love to go to Sweden and read to the kids and stuff like that, but they already have drag queens and drag artists there, so it's fine,
The best part of what I do is giving folks the opportunity to forget whatever problems they may be facing and enjoy life. As far as Drag Story Hour goes, the best part is bringing two different communities together for a fun and educational experience.
Yes, it really is, because, years ago, when would a drag queen be welcome around young kids? You know what I mean? Years ago, all of our work, drag work, was relegated to bars and clubs, and that was all late night stuff. This was before brunches, drag brunches, and everything else. So the only time you thought of a drag performer was late at night, with along the lines of prostitution and everything else. Like it just allowed people
something sleazy and seedy,
right, to run away, let their imaginations run wild.
Well, and because we're often stereotyped, and that's how
right.
And then a lot of them just want to see us in that light only.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that was the thing with Drag Story Hour. People say, oh, well, drag queens shouldn't be reading to kids. They're adult entertainers. They're sleazy. They're this, they're that. Well, we haven't had some people can be, some people can multitask and be versatile and flip the script. You know what I mean? Everybody else can. There's some performers who can never do Drag Story Hour because maybe they have a potty mouth, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe they don't like kids at all, or maybe they don't like being up early, some
of them don't know how to read.
Right. Some people don't want to be
they can read, but they don't know how to read books.
Right. So it's not for everyone, but for the people who do find it rewarding and beneficial for them, allow them to do so.
You like Little City Books and Hoboken Public Library because they allowed you to do drag story hour there without giving it a second thought. Also, a big shout out to Jersey City Free Public Library and Word Bookstore for welcoming me with open arms, and JB's Bake Shop for making awesome sweet treats.
Right, because I was initially when I started Story Hour in New Jersey, I was mainly working in New York, and I said, well, I live right here in New Jersey. Let me reach out to some people and see if I can get this started here. And those were the people who initially, who embraced me with open arms.
I'm hopeful New Jersey continues to keep our COVID cases down so that our healthcare system doesn't get overwhelmed. We shouldn't live our lives in fear, but we should exercise caution for our safety as well as others. What were you doing right before the pandemic started?
Well, okay, so in March of 2020, that weekend before the shutdown, I did a big bingo event in Hazlet, New Jersey. And then that Saturday, I married two of my friends in the Bronx. I officiated a wedding, a big event. And then that Sunday, I had one more event at a club in Patterson. I said, this thing is really getting out of hand and I'm going to cancel because I've been around 2 days around large groups of people. And at this point, people were really getting nervous. Canceled the gig that Sunday, and Monday, the shutdown started. And 2 days later, both of the grooms that I married had COVID, who was in their face the whole time at the wedding and everything else like that. And so I, to this day, I feel like that's when I first got COVID. I still don't know to this day whether I had it, but that's how I feel like, because I was directly exposed to two people who did have it, and survived, from it as well. Because I felt for 2 weeks after that, I felt like, sick. I felt everything, all of the symptoms of COVID, but we couldn't go anywhere. So there was no way, there was no COVID test either and stuff like that. So I just had to suffer through it, and then when I was finally able to go to the doctor, we did an antigen test, and I didn't have any antigens, but maybe at that point they could have already wore off, the antibodies for it.
Other than your the two people that the marriage that you officiated and yourself, how did it affect your community a lot? Did you lose any folks?
I lost people that I knew, not anyone in my family wise, but people from work environments and people that worked in nightlife and things of that nature. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So did you become scared? Did you get fearful at any time?
Well, as a person who worked in person and in bars and clubs, and all the bars and clubs closed, then you start to worry about, okay, what is my future looking like? I was very lucky because I had about 2.5 weeks off, and then everything moved to virtual. So all the story hours moved to virtual, and then I started picking up a lot more stuff virtually because everyone was home and everyone was trying to do something online to keep sane.
And is that when you started doing your drag queen bingo?
Yes.
Or was that before? I
was already doing it, but I wasn't doing anything online.
Oh, okay. Okay. And how did that work out online?
Awesome, because everybody was home, you know what I mean? Right. So in online, you can get people from California, people logging in from all different places to partake and have some sort of social activity, as social as we could be at that time, so it was awesome. And we did it, and we had a packed house each and every Friday, and then the other ones that I did, that would come and go, but I had a weekly one that really did well.
Just completed my first ever Black Lives Matter protest. It was an awesome feeling to see so many people expressing the same sentiment and fed up with foolishness. There is strength in numbers. We all have a voice and a platform. From sharing pertinent info to writing checks, supporting businesses or people of color, or showing up at a march, let's all join in on the fight against racism and police brutality.
That's right. We still have a long way to go. We're still saying the same things we were fighting for and marching for that summer. We're still faced with police brutality. We still face with racism and discrimination and favoritism. And, you know, we can put two of the same scenarios together, and all it takes is the difference of one person's skin to see what the outcome of that situation is going to be, you know. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
And oftentimes the people who may be lighter, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean they're more qualified.
Mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't, but they just got it because that complexion.
Right. Yeah. So true. You know, and people kind of go with the familiarity of what they feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know?
Yes. And what they feel like other people want to see versus,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
just not, I wouldn't even say being open-minded, not giving other people consideration.
Right. Yeah.
You know, just more of the same.
And perpetuating the same stereotypes that we've already been forced to endure.
Mm-hmm. And you had said that there's a tendency for fans of the art of drag to prioritize what white drag queens say and do over their Black counterparts. Black drag queens who participate in the most visible drag show right now, RuPaul's Drag Race, said they've been targeted by online bullying and death threats.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the Drag Race fandom is a whole nother beast, you know, and it's unfortunate that, you know, when someone is pushed into the limelight so quickly and their star begins to rise, along with that comes all of this hate and unnecessary hate. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like Queen so-and-so, then leave her alone and go root for the girls that you do like. But there's no need to take time out of your day to spew hate and be nasty and mean to someone that you don't even know, someone you just saw on a TV show that was edited and scripted to a degree.
That is true. I've been dealing with queens for over two decades now. And I mean, at times, sometimes I'm just like,
it's gonna get severe up in here. It's gonna get severe up in here. It's gonna get severe.
The queens don't play. The queens do not play. Again, hi haters, we know you're watching. So you're watching Transbrations, and today's special guest is Miss Harmonica Sunbeam. She's here to pump.
Harmonica Sunbeam is about to pump.
And you had talked about your goals changing slightly due to COVID.
Mm-hmm. Well, you realize that, you know, life is short, and there are things that we all have on our bucket list that, you know, that we may have put to the side, you know, and so now is the time to find time to do the things that bring you joy, and do the things that you want to, and make the mark that you want to leave on this world.
Did you get to do your new website?
I do have a new website. You know, I was.
It is new.
Yeah. That was my thing. My main thing that I still have to keep working on. I'm working on my children's book. You know, because after doing Story Hour for so long and reading so many stories and things, you know, I'm inspired to write my own book.
You've been writing it already, or it's just?
I have been writing it, but I'm still on page 1.
Oh, okay.
I really have to devote the time to doing it, because, you know, it's something that I think would really put me in a different genre of fans and everything else, you know. So it just seems right to do, you know, as a person who reads children's books and reads to children. Why not write my own?
That you know of, have any of the other drag queens who do drag story hour, have any of them published books?
One. She just released her Little Miss Hot Mess is her name, and she just released her second book this year. Right. So
there's a market.
Mm-hmm. So definitely, you know,
you're gonna sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you're here to do.
But basically, yes.
Yes. In January 2021, you were thankful, humbled, and blessed. Although you said, although my birthday shenanigans may look a little different this year, I'm happy to be amongst the living.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because normally for my birthday, I would do a bunch of shows, and I would also leave town, you know. Okay. So now we're in January 2021, and at the end of December, right before New Year's Eve, that's when I caught COVID, you know, December 2021. You know, I mentioned earlier about March, but this is when I tested positive for COVID in December 2021. 2020, the end of December. So my birthday is the first week, you know, January 8th So what happened was, like, anything that I was going to do couldn't be done because I would have to be in quarantine. But normally I do a bunch of shows and then I leave town to just enjoy myself, you know.
Where do you escape to?
It just depends. I try to pick a new place, a new and an old place each year. So like if it's a country that I've already been to, I'll go to a part of the country that I like and know, and then spend some time in a part of the country that I've never been to before.
A lot of people have been inboxing me all night. So before anyone else tells me, I'm well aware of the picture of me in the shower that is going around on social media. Someone obviously decided to post it out of revenge, and I honestly don't care. I'm not ashamed of me. I posted the pic in the comments to save you all from having to search for it too. You're welcome, and it's a nice angle though.
So that's a Facebook joke, So it's not a true story. It's just a joke on Facebook, and So
it was a joke. Okay. Well, okay. So that's good that it was a joke. But so being earlier we're talking about jealous bitches. Being a gay male used to come with a lot of shade. So much shade, some couldn't take it and ended their life, unfortunately.
Right.
But things have changed, right? It's a new day, it's a new dawn.
Somewhat, yeah.
But being a queen often comes with a ton of relentless shade. I believe you're a very kind person, sweet person, and you haven't paid me to say that. How do you deal with the haters and the shade and the messy folks? And how do you deal with the jealousy that comes along with the territory of being a queen?
Well, I mean,
listen. and of being a respected queen.
Well, the jealousy and the insecurity is on you, and that's your issue. That's something that you have to work on, something that you have to work out amongst yourself. A lot of times I'm not even aware of the hate or the jealousy, but I just have to focus on me. I have to focus on being the best me, because I'm only in competition with myself. You may feel that you're in competition with me, but I'm not spending my time trying to outdo you. I'm trying to outdo me. And if me outdoing myself outdoes you, then so be it. But we all have work to do on our own, to make ourselves better. And a lot of times people are worried about, oh, who else is in the show? Who else is this and that? Just do what you can do, what they paid you to do, and do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And like no one's stealing anyone else's spotlight when you're the only one on stage.
Right.
If you're there by yourself, there's no one else stealing your spotlight. So you can't. So when I go on stage, that's me stealing my own spotlight. When you go on stage, you're taking care of your own spotlight. You can't think of it as, oh, with this person in the show, I'm not going to be the star of the show. Well, you may not be the star of the show in everyone's eyes, regardless. So just do what you came to do.
I mean, do you want to mention Peaches?
Oh, well, this year, April 20th, 2022, I lost, my favorite friend, Peaches, my cat that I had for 20 years. And, he was very, very close to me. And I'm still, there, being here and having him live here for so long, his presence is still here. But I also feel the loneliness here too, because now I'm officially living by myself. Before, at least I had, like if I heard a noise in the middle of the night, I can say, Peaches, what are you doing in there? But now I'm like, what the hell was that?
Did you have a memorial for Peaches?
No, I didn't. I did a group cremation, and I did, all my memories are here and in my heart and in my mind, and I have pictures and things of that nature, and he will always be a part of my life, So I just felt that was enough for me.
On May the 17th, you had mentioned that you had got your nails done for a special project, but you also had mentioned that even as a drag queen, you don't wear nails on a regular basis. And when you do, off they go.
Right.
And you had mentioned that you decided to keep the color on, but you found yourself hiding your hands around certain people that knew you, but didn't know you do drag, like the guy at the bodega, the laundromat person, the UPS driver. You said you can't help but wonder what goes through folks' mind when they see my nails, and I haven't fully embraced not giving a fuck regarding it. All I know is since Friday, whenever I've had a sad or depressing moment, All it took was a look at my hands to lift up my spirits.
Yeah, and it's true. And it's like, and even after I wrote that and I thought about it, it's just like, just because your nails are painted doesn't mean you do drag. That's me thinking about what someone else may be thinking. You know what I'm saying? There are lots of men who have their nails painted, lots of men who have their toenails painted, who are straight, you know, or who are bisexual, you know, just, you know, and who are gay, but that doesn't mean they do drag. You know, so one thing doesn't necessarily prelude to something else. And so that's what I have to get out of my mind, you know. And also, you know, it's a comfort factor, like, hey, if my nails bother you, then that's your problem. It's not my problem, you know. Especially, you know, even for someone that was potentially interested in me and was like, oh yeah, I really like you, but those nails, like, okay, no, the nails don't have to go, you have to go.
Yeah.
Because so there'll be somebody who will take me for who I am and understand me and appreciate me, and nails and all, you know.
You know,
and this is the only one I have left that still has
that's still painted. That's still painted. That's still painted. I was really, you know, I was shocked to read that. I really was. You know, I assumed you were an out and proud queen. And
I am, but it's, you know, like, it's if someone was to ask me, then that's another story. But I don't necessarily, if I'm not in drag, I don't necessarily go around say, hey, look at me, I'm gay, or I'm gay. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm just me. This is who I am. You know, and so and drag is what I do. Drag is not my whole life, but it is a big part of my life. You know,
it's your profession,
right? So it's like, so, and I've just never like had my nails done. You know, I'm not that gay person. You know what I'm saying? I would only get my feet done like every year, like once before a trip. Like, oh, let me treat myself to a pedicure. There's certain things that certain people really get themselves into, as far as like grooming and self-care and stuff like, and it's an outlet for them and stuff like that. But for me, I've just never been. And also as a massage therapist. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I can't, like, you can't have really long nails and things of that nature, you know, so.
When you're out of drag, do people often recognize you?
It just depends on like whether not necessarily. Some people say they recognize me from my laugh. Some people say they recognize me from my smile. When they hear me talk, you know, they know, oh, it sounds familiar. Wow, that voice sounds familiar, you know. But for the most part, now a lot more people know me out of drag, more so than the years ago. But still, you know, I still get some people who had no clue. Like I can do a show and an hour later walk right past those same people, and like 8 of them would not even know that it was me.
So, you know, obviously I've never met you out of drag, and obviously your personality is different out of drag.
Yeah, I'm a lot more laid back and subdued. Yeah. This is my outlet, you know what I mean? So drag allows me to be free and expressive and stuff, and do all the things that I probably wouldn't do as just a regular guy.
It's an escape for you to some degree. May the 20th, what an awesome night of drag, fabulosity, and love. The room was wall to wall with cool people and beautiful energy. I'm so honored to be a part of this great book, which is currently on sale. I co-hosted with Nicole Page Brooks, and we had a stellar cast of entertainment. DJ Adora from Miami kept the music pumping for us. Thank you, Harry James Hansen, and everyone else associated with this project. Thank you, Jose Manuel, how do you say it? Disla, yes. Disla for my dress, and Fred for face for my makeup. The drag event of the season was posted on your Facebook timeline. You mentioned only 15 tickets were available, and I tried to purchase one, but they were sold out. I called a number, and I think it was Harry's number. Was told tickets weren't available. Tickets were available at the door. Rushed to the event, and surprisingly, on my way, I found $30. And once I got there, I wasn't even charged entry. So how did you get involved with Legends of Drag? And this is the beautiful book.
Oh, well, I got involved. You know, Harry hit me up and he said, hey, I'm doing this book and I want to include you. I think you have a great story and you certainly have put in the work to be included in this book. Are you available? I'm going to be coming to New York, because he went around like all over the US shooting these girls personally, you know, taking the pictures personally and putting together like a different scenario for each girl. And so he says, hey, can any of these dates fit in your schedule? And let me find a location and this and that. And so it all worked out. We did the shoot sometime last year, and boom, you know, then it was a hurry up and wait for the book to come out. Now the book is out and it's doing well, and he is promoting the book in different towns and cities. And I'm just really, really happy to be a part of it and to be recognized.
And one of your quotes in there was, I just had to go out and sell it.
Yes.
When you say sell it, you know, because some people could take that the wrong way, and you know, we're queens and we're Black, and exactly sell what, Harmonica?
And sell me, you know, and sell me, and sell what it is to be Harmonica Sunbeam, you know. It's just like when we go to a job interview, we have to sell ourselves in order to say, okay, you could pick me over everyone else.
Yeah, that's
you know, the same way for a job interview, ballroom, or anything else, you know, we are constantly selling ourselves and putting ourselves in the right light so that we are either hired or picked for the award.
Mm-hmm. In the book, you mentioned that you were hiding from filmmaker Jenny Livingston cameras. She was the white lady who made the legendary 1991 documentary, Paris is Burning, which exploited the queens. That's fair to say, right?
I believe I believe it was twofold. I believe there was some exploitation. I also believe people allowed themselves to be out there.
They signed up for it. Mm-hmm.
Right, you know, or they just, you know, like I said, I was hiding. I saw the cameras, and I was hiding. Some people ran to the cameras, so you can't really say you were being exploited if you ran to the camera.
When you said you ran from the camera, okay, so the film was very successful and the queens received what they wanted, fame, but not riches. Are you still happy that you hid from Jenny and her crew?
Oh yeah, you know, that wasn't my, I was just finding myself. There wouldn't be much I would have to offer had I been pulled in and asked a few questions anyway. You know what I'm saying? I was really, this was, you know, when Jenny was coming out, this was at, you know, the original ballroom place was the Elks Lodge in Harlem. And so this was up there in Harlem. So I knew that I was just a youngin', way too much to be putting any insight into a world that I was just discovering. Do
you consider Madonna a thief for the Vogue content that she used for her album? Some would consider, you know, a cultural appropriation. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think, you know, it's a little bit of both. I think that she, you know, she helped bring Vogue mainstream, but she should have made a bigger point of saying this was not something that she created. This is something that she discovered and that she enjoyed and she wanted to bring more attention to. And there's a difference, you know, there's definitely a difference in presentation.
Other than the jokes that you tell on stage, do you do any creative writing? How do you come up with your content?
No, I don't necessarily do any creative writing, but I mean, like, you know, like if I hurry up and do this book, maybe that will, you know, do something. You know, I have taken creative writing courses and stuff like that. And I do enjoy writing, and you know, social media allows me to write my feelings out or tell stories, get things and points across, which I do enjoy, you know, but yeah, mainly just like, you know, my jokes.
Your jokes. You know. Are you comfortable with almost being a girl of a certain age?
Oh, I definitely am. I definitely am, because I've seen, you know, I'd rather be a successful girl of a certain age than what I would call a microwave queen, like, you know, like somebody who just started and now they're a big star, because it's you know, and that's what happens with RuPaul's Drag Race somewhat, especially for people who have not put in the time and the work.
Yeah, that is true.
All of a sudden, like they're thrust into stardom and they don't really know how to handle it all.
During the event, you said that you get tired of being only called to work for Black History Month events. Would you prefer to be called to work during Hispanic Heritage Month, which is in September?
Well, I was joking when I said that, but you know, like there is an uptick in calls, you know, for Black History Month in a sense, you know, but I work all year round, you know, and the same way when people call me for a story hour for June, it's like, well, you know, we can have this other months. We don't have to wait all the way to June to have something, you know, to educate someone. Like, you know, you can have artists of color at your event other than just, you know, February, you know.
Do you speak any Spanish?
I do. I do. Okay. Enough to get me out of trouble. Or to get me in trouble.
Or to get you in trouble, right. So life is hard for Black people, and life is difficult for some LGBT people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt like life wasn't worth living and wanted to give up? If so, how did you move forward?
I believe we all have had like up and down moments in our lives where we feel like extremely like, hopefully this gets better, you know what I'm saying? And I encourage anyone who has had like suicidal thoughts to get therapy. Even people who haven't had suicidal thoughts, who just need an outlet of someone to talk to without judgment and without any kind of retaliation, someone who can understand and just be there for you. Because if we don't have someone in our life personally, we can find someone professionally to listen to us, so that we, and it's not going to cure everything, but it may make some of our decisions a lot better at handling some of our decisions.
And sometimes you just need someone to listen, someone to care.
Mm-hmm.
How y'all doing? Did you know I have merchandise for sale? What kind of merchandise do you sell?
Coffee cups and fans and t-shirts and bags, tote bags, mouse pads and pop sockets, all available at dmarkgear.com under the local Queens section, and click on the name Harmonica Sunbeam.
It's Pride Month. Where will you be entertaining folks at?
I will be entertaining folks wherever there is a budget, okay? Because this is not the month to be doing free stuff, okay? Remember that, Queens. This is not the month to be doing free stuff, They want you, they'll pay for it. But this weekend, I'm going to be at co-hosting Rutherford Pride, their first Pride, Rutherford, New Jersey. I'm also hosting Union Pride on Saturday. So Saturday, June 4th from 12 to 4, I'll be in Rutherford in Lincoln Park. And then from 6 to 9, I'll be in Union, New Jersey at their Pride event, And then Sunday morning, I have a story hour at a synagogue in Montclair. I don't want to say the name because I might screw it up.
Did you mention the event on the 9th? Moby NYC
Moby Fest is coming up. Moby Fest, the kickoff party for Moby Fest is happening June 9th at Trappy Hour in Harlem. So I'll be hosting that too, yeah.
So you're going to be there and in Brooklyn on Thursday?
Yes, it's 2 different times. Because Moby Fest is a 10 o'clock start. Brooklyn
10 p.m.?
Yeah, and Brooklyn is 6 to 8.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna 16. I'm gonna go to either one of those events. So
okay.
Do you have any Juneteenth? Do you have any Juneteenth plans?
I do. I have some story hours Juneteenth. That weekend, I'll be doing a few story hours specifically surrounding Juneteenth.
Still holding out hope for the 40 acres and a mule?
Well, it is what it is. We can do what we can do.
What advice would you give to some of these to the younger future queens? Any advice?
I would say learn to accept criticism, because if you're going to do this line of work, you're always going to get some criticism, whether it's good criticism or constructive criticism, or whether it's just out and out shade. Learn to embrace it, use what you can get from it, and move on.
I want to ask you what you're most proud of. In the book, you mentioned what you're most proud of.
Really?
You do. Now, would you like to state what you're most proud of? And then I can also read this too.
You say it, because I'm trying to remember now.
Throughout all her work, the strength of Harmonica's roots shines through. The thing I'm most proud of is that to this day, I still bring ballroom with me wherever I go and in whatever I do. It really teaches you to be the kind of person who can take criticism and still survive. Take it with a grain of salt and challenge yourself to come back stronger next time, rather than burn the building down. Have you wanted to burn some buildings down?
Oh no, I'm really not. I'm a gracious loser. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I've never, and even when like it's out and out, stunts and shows, it is what it is. I brought what I brought to the table. Either you like it or you don't, and we move on. And that can go in so many areas of our lives and stuff. But yeah, I started out in ballroom. And like I don't attend balls as much as I used to, or I don't walk them, but the ballroom still lives in me. The ballroom. And that's what I bring to each and every event that I can bring it to.
Someone had commented on YouTube that Harmonica Sunbeam is a national treasure and that she should be protected at all costs. Have you heard that before?
To an extent, yeah. That that there are people who really hold me in high esteem and think I'm absolutely fabulous. And I wish those people were cousins to Oprah and Tyler Perry and everyone else. I'm tired of struggling.
Eddie Murphy.
Right. I'm tired of struggling.
Yeah. So I just thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for making time for me. And I want to say, besides RuPaul, besides Kevin Aviance, besides Jasmine, and besides another queen in Los Angeles named Ebony Lane, Harmonica, you are one of my favorite living drag queens. I love drag queens, and you're one of my favorites, sweetie.
Well, thank you so much. And I thank you for inviting me onto the show. And yeah.
You're welcome. Happy Pride, and I'll see you this week.
All righty, be well.
Bye-bye.
Happy Pride, everyone. Bye.